Guys, can you hear me now? Is it working now? Is it working? Can you hear me? What is going on here? Guys, can you hear me now? Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Absolute disastrous 40 seconds. For crying out loud. How's everybody doing? I've had all sorts of problems with my computer today. The last video that I did late on Friday night, I did a 30-minute video, recorded it, and then realized that the sound setting had been switched off. So I had to re-record the whole bloody thing again. Either way, these are the least of our problems, aren't they? Because Tottenham Hotspur is an absolute mess. Welcome to the show. Yeah, I've just been dialing in a little bit to that. Gee whiz. I know a lot of you guys love the chaos of arguments and things. And I was back to Thomas Frank. I'm not going to do it. I don't know. You can't see me. Yeah, listen, it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. How's everybody doing? Please do smash the like button. We've got lots to talk about, right? Lots and lots to talk about. We've got to talk about yesterday's game. We've got to talk about, in my opinion, a disgusting VAR decision. Not that in any way, shape or form covers over or defends against what was another abject first half of football, and that Tottenham only ever get going, even against the worst teams in the league, when we are losing. Our front 3-4 don't have a clue. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. The amount of misplaced passes yesterday, absolutely horrendous. We've got to talk about the change for Tottenham protest, or not sure if it was a protest really in the end. I was really surprised by the lack of numbers. And we got to talk about Thomas Frank, obviously, and Vinay, and all of the rumors that he might be out of here today, as soon as today. Big flip-flop if that's the case. A giant flip-flop from Vinay, because all of the intimations have been that he is staying. I haven't had a chance yet to talk to you about this stuff as well, which I wanted to do Saturday morning, but didn't have the chance because I had to get up to the meetup. But the game was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good time yesterday. I haven't been to Tottenham for a few months or a couple of months, and I wasn't going to go. But then because everyone was there and it's a protest and all that stuff, I thought I'd go and show my face. And it was great fun to catch up with everybody. Before I even get into that, I do want to say to anybody that's watching this that did come up and say hello yesterday, and there were so many people. It was awesome to meet all of you. And I just want to say a massive thank you for all of the kind words that were offered towards the channel and to Bugsy and all that stuff. Honestly, you don't really sort of think about it in that way, right? Like ever. But when you go to the game and then people come up to you and say hello and stuff, it's sort of catches you off guard a little bit. So a massive thank you for all the support. I was expecting there to be some people come up to me and tell me, they think I'm a donut. And I think there was only one or two of those. And that was Sava and Stell, I think. No, I'm only kidding. It was good to meet Sava as well. Good to see it. Loads of people met for the first time. Like Bugsy didn't go. No, Bugsy didn't go. But I do want to take her down the high road at some point on the game day. See if she gets noticed more than I do. Guys, please do smash the like button, smash the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment or two. Let me know your thoughts as we go through it. Today's show is sponsored by OK Jersey. You know the score by now. If you are looking for any of your sports athleisure wear stuff, any of the things that might make your New Year's resolutions a little bit easier. New stuff, retro stuff, not just football shirts, but they got the kind of the clobber as well. All that stuff can be found there. And also, I think very soon they're going to have that 1901 version. So keep a lookout for that, guys. Use code Sean at checkout and you get an additional 8% off. I did wear the flip flop outfit. In fact, let me see if I can get a picture of it, because somebody somewhere, we forget who it was. Stell reminded me yesterday that someone on the Spurs 5 said, if you, let me get a picture of it. If you turn up wearing the flip flop outfit, then they'll put a 50 quid towards charity. And I've got that. I've got the evidence. The evidence is right there. Listen, I know there's two ways we can take this stream up. We can be super angry. We can be super pessimistic. Of course, that's part of where I'm going to go. But I also do want to, I guess to keep it as lighthearted as possible because, after a day like yesterday, where you lose to your arch rivals, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. There's the evidence. The wind obviously took it out of shape, but that's it's there. It's done. Okay, it's absolutely done. So whoever it was that said 50 quid in the charity pot, if I wear the flip flop costume, then we need to see that paid. We'll put it towards a dog's charity or something. Guys, what was I going to say to you? Let's start with what's this? Sava and Maz next up at the stadium. Are they still going? Are they still going at it? Let's have a look. I thought I saw Maz drop off the stream. Has he come back in? No, he's gone. Yeah, that was crazy though. That was crazy. Yeah, the whole gang. There's loads more people there. There were so many people there. It was a really, really cool day out. Obviously, I broke my no drinking rule. I got to day 6, and I thought, wow, it's Saturday. God rests on the 6th day, I think, doesn't he? Or the 7th day or something. Yeah, Maz went off at Sabo, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know why people... I don't know Maz. I met him once. Listen, Saba is Saba, right? Saba loves to have an argument. Well, that's not to have an argument, but he loves to have, sort of full frontal debate. So I think this is it's one of those moments where things are really, energetic for the wrong reasons in the fan club. It's a really bad energy around the football club. Sorry, and with that comes, I don't know, just emotions, heightened emotions. People wanting to be right. People wanting to remind people that they aren't right, I guess, or all the time. Or if you change your mind and then you pretend like you haven't. I'm guessing that's what Maz was trying to do there. I don't know. I don't know. It's not my business, not my channel. But I'm sure it's fiery content, but I'm sure it's also uncomfortable for the two people that are involved in it. I'm sure both of them are going to have a bit of a stressful day. And I can imagine that, they'll be friends again straight afterwards. But it's always entertaining for the viewers, but it's not nice. I've been involved in these things loads of times. With Lubo, I've been involved in them. I've been involved in with Sava, been involved with Tel. It's nice to watch, but it's not nice to be a part of, really. But it is what it is. Guys, let's get into it. Let's start the show. I want to start with this, right? I want to start with this handball thing. Okay, this is during the game. I'm going to bring up the game specifically because obviously, 2-1 was the eventual scoreline. I knew sitting in the stadium as soon as they won that penalty, that corner kick in the 90th minute or whatever it was. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And it transpired. It was just one of those days, but we shot ourselves in the foot. That said, I'm not going to be making any punching or not making any excuses here or explanations, but the consistency of the VAR and the rules in play are a joke. I put this tweet out. I put a tweet out about this saying a natural position. So Conor Gallagher has broken past that defender. I forget who it is. Number 39 is that? Number 34. And he's tried to cut in, right? So he's tried to head the ball past the defender. Now, in this particular moment, you can see his hand is outstretched. I'm not sure he's outstretching it to try to hand the ball, but I think he's outstretched trying to sort of catch up with the player who's obviously got a march on him. Then in the next frame, and this isn't the perfect screenshot, but he actually brings his hand back, right? And there's a better frame. I just couldn't capture it quite perfectly. He actually brings his hand back, so his arm is recoiled where his elbow is bent. That's the next frame after the header. And then the frame after that, he extends his hand out again. Full stretch. You can see the 3, right? You can see the 3. His hand's out a little bit. His hand's pulled back, although it's not the perfect, but it does get pulled back. And then he pushes it out. He pushes it out. It hits the hand, it hits the ball, and it stops the cross coming in directly first time. Changes the angle of the ball. People saying it's natural position. Because what? Because you're running and you're naturally trying to catch up with the defender, which, by the way, if he was pulling on the arm of the defender, Conor Gallagher could have gone down. And by the way, in the 92nd or 93rd minute, Conor Gallagher could have gone down as we were attacking the south stand and didn't, which annoyed me a little bit because he did get challenged. To be honest, we wouldn't have been given the penalty anyway. We haven't been given a single penalty all bloody year. But if that's a natural position, right? If those things are natural positions, then how is it that when someone jumps for the ball, that's not a natural position? Nobody will jump like a bloody penguin, would they? Nobody jumps with their hand like a kangaroo with their arms tied behind their back. No one does that. Yet in an aerial situation, if you've jumped and you do that, which is natural, and then the ball hits your hand, it's a penalty every single time. If that is a natural position, which I don't believe it is in any way, shape, or form, because he pulls his arm back and then extends it back out again, that has if those things are natural positions doing that, then they are also that's also natural when you're jumping. To me, it's mind-bogglingly, it's a difficult word to say when you're hungover, mind-bogglingly inconsistent. Now, would it have changed the outcome of the game? 100%, right? The score was 1-1 at the time. And I think it was 1-1 at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. So we should have had a chance to score. I'm not saying we would have scored it, but for me, it's absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Let me know in the chat whether you think it's a pen. I see people saying never a pen. Rob's saying never a pen. It's not natural. Well, if it is natural, that, like I say, for me, it doesn't make sense either way, right? If it's natural, then so is doing this when you jump for a penalty, but they always get given. If it's not natural, then it's a penalty. Either way, there's an inconsistent application of the word natural, which is subjective anyway. And to me, I think the whole thing's an absolute disgrace. I think it is. And I'm not just saying that as a Tottenham fan. I've seen, I put it out on Twitter. Let me show you. I put it out on Twitter and it's had quite a lot of interaction. There didn't seem to be much communication or discussion about this in the pub afterwards. But, you know, it's been viewed 86,000 times. And most of the fans that are West Ham fans who have commented are saying that I'm a donut and that, you know, get over it, cry more. Subjective, but also bias. And a lot of the Tottenham fans are saying it's a pen, but also a lot of the Tottenham fans are saying it isn't a pen. I'm just saying, explain, if it's not a pen, why isn't it a pen? If it's not a pen because it's natural, then they should change the laws around jumping, right? Because no one jumps with their hands behind their back. And also, why is it that every defender has to put their hands behind the back when crosses come in for the fear of it hitting their hand when they won't be naturally reaching for the ball? He naturally reached for the ball. It's a massively inconsistent thing. And if that was a Tottenham player, it's 100% a penalty. Completely agree. Anyway, I'm not going to make that the focus of the show. I just wanted to bring that up in the initial instance, right? Let's have a quick look at, because we've got so much to talk about today. We've got to talk about, obviously, Thomas Frank, the booing afterwards, the singing you're getting sacked in the morning. I was one of them, by the way, but I was long of about 6 or 7 drinks. I'm also on Hair of the Dog, but it is Sunday and it is 2 p.m. Let's get the stats up, right? I want to show you some stuff here. Let me know, guys. Hit a 1 and a 0, by the way. Can you hit me at top? 1 if it's a pen and 0 if it isn't. So this is the game state, right? Attack momentumometer. This for me tells a story. Tells a story. It was a balanced first half, but when Tottenham had possession, we had absolutely no creativity, no real effort, no real desire. Once again, for me, I saw situations where I think it was in like the 18th or 20th minute of the game. I can't remember if it was just before the goal or just after the goal. But Xavi Simons breaks free and charges over the halfway line and charges into the opposition final third. And Conor Gallagher on his debut and Archie Gray, both of whom have the ability to get forward, if allowed to, jogged to the halfway line and then stopped. It jogged to the halfway line and then stopped. I haven't caught it on camera. I wish I did, because it would tell the tale that I always say, that if you're watching the game on the TV, you're not going to see that stuff. The camera's going to be following Xavi Simons, and you're not going to see the stuff around what's happening with the players around. How much is their pursuit, their willingness, their desire to get forward and to support. And the answer in that first half was 0. And this, to me, is against West Ham, a team that it's a local derby, a London derby. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Dr. Tottenham will see you now. An unacceptably defensive mindset. And again, I can't stress enough to you how I feel about Thomas Frank. It's very similar to how I feel, how I analyze, me personally, how I analyze Thomas Frank and what he does and his tactics is the same way as I will analyze any manager, right? It's what are they saying? What are they saying in the press conferences? What are they doing in terms of in-game management? What are they doing in terms of the directives of the players? Once you cross the white line, it's over to the players to implement their own skill sets, right? They're the ones that have to kick the ball. I'm not going to sit here and criticize Thomas Frank for the fact that Xavi Simons gave the ball away about 7 or 8 times yesterday in advanced positions through horrendous overweighted or underweighted passing. I am not going to criticize Thomas Frank for what I thought was a really, really lackluster structural shape from Wilson Odobert. I'm not going to criticize him from that unless I think it's by design. If I think that he has been told to come narrow rather than staying out against the West Ham left back, was it Juff? I forget who it was who was playing yesterday for West Ham. No, it was Skulls yesterday, right? Of course it wasn't Juff, it was Skulls. I'm not going to criticize him for misplaced passes. I am going to criticize him if the team don't understand the patterns of play or if the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, because they're not focusing enough time in figuring these things out. Odobert yesterday was horrendous. Mathys Tel, for me, was the best of a bad bunch at the top end of the pitch. Once again, Thomas Frank takes him off rather than Kolo Muani, which is a head scratcher for me. He did it against Aston Villa. He took Mathys Tel off the pitch against Aston Villa. I don't think Thomas Frank rates Mathys Tel, or I don't think that he likes Mathys Tel. Maybe Mathys Tel has said something to him, and the only reason that he's playing is because of needs must, because there's no other options. By the way, we have to talk about the Dortmund situation. We are absolutely screwed in terms of player availability for Dortmund. It's going to be I think unless Pape Sarr comes straight back in, I think the only recognised available fit midfielder for the midweek game at the moment is Berghvall. That's it, because Conor Gallagher can't play in that game, and Archie Gray walked off the pitch or limped off the pitch, subbed off the pitch. Xavi Simons limped out of the stadium last night. You know, we have trouble. Anyway, I'm getting off the point. Mathys Tel, for me, is by far the hardest working of the forward line. He's look, is he good enough? Not yet. Will he be good enough? I believe he will be a good enough player in the future. Will he be that version of himself at Tottenham? I don't know, but certainly not under Thomas Frank, because Thomas Frank, for whatever reason, he says he likes people that presses. And again, this is an important, pertinent point to my take here, because every time that you listen to Thomas Frank talk about a player, when he's describing the parts of his game that he likes, the first adjective, the first criteria that he will call out about a player, regardless of their position, that loose hair here is really annoying me. Let's see if I can get it. Did I get it? Yeah, I got it. Is his ability to press, right? He said it about Richalison when asked why it was that Mathys Tel or Kolo Muani won't get an extended run in the 9 spot. Oh, because Richalison, you know, he presses well from the front. If your first consideration about the value of a striker is how well they press, that tells me everything I need to know about what it is that your focus and priority is as a manager. And for him, it's what are we doing off the ball? He said exactly the same thing about Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher, great player, comes with a lot of experience, brilliant presser, will press for days. I paraphrase, but that's what he said. I can understand it a little bit when it comes to midfielders, if that's the sort of style of midfielder you're looking for. But if every time that you're going to talk about a player, you're going to talk first and foremost about their off-the-ball activity rather than what they can do on the ball, it tells me what sort of mindset you have. And to me, I've been saying this from game week 3. Not doing the I told you so. I'm not trying to take any credit for this, but I was saying before anybody else, he sets up not to lose. He's a not to lose.com manager. And that's just it's the antithesis of what Tottenham fans want. And if you're going to set up against West Ham United, the team that's below you in the Premier League, a team that now, by the way, is only 10 points off your position, you're only 10 points clear of relegation. And Tottenham fans around the stadium yesterday that I was sat next to, and Tottenham fans that were in the pub afterwards and before the game, were saying, if we lose this today, I think this guy might take us down. I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, guys. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we could be in a relegation battle here if things don't change. Now, I'm going to come to like what do we do in a second. I just want to get through the game. I just want to get through the game first, right? And then we'll get into the other bits. Other performances, right? Xavi Simons gave the ball away so much. Kolo Muani, once again, just carefree, casual, and so laissez-faire, so languid when a team needs like effort and motivation and all of that kind of the body language of the guy. He just doesn't look like he wants to be here. He doesn't care about the plight of the football club because he knows he's not going to be here in 6 months. So it's just like a bit of a kick around for him. He doesn't care. And he should care, if only for selfish reasons, because he's got a World Cup spot to worry about. You can't cancel his loan voided. You can't cancel his loan. Well, you can cancel it, but I don't know why you would. Odebear Mawani Tel, the worst forward line ever. Look, at the moment, it looks... I'd throw Xavi Simons in there. Xavi Simons, I'm a massive fan of Xavi Simons. I know there's an acclimation process. I know there's a assimilation process. I know that not everyone clicks. But if you're playing under a manager that doesn't really care about what you do with the ball, he cares about what you do without the ball, that to me is going to be like so painful to be around if you're a guy who has been brought up being the creator in chief. I guarantee you, unless he is of a very different mindset to the typical human being's reaction to the style of football and the managerial mindset, then if he's a unique beast that just like gets on board it anyway, fair enough. But if he's the normal typical human being, he's sitting there saying, this guy is not allowing me in any way, shape or form to spread my wings. His style, his vision is making me look bad. And because people are always going to sit there and find the reason why their bad performance is not their own fault. That's just the human condition as well. Mathys Tel works hard every single week. And the fact that he gets substituted every single week, and after the game, Thomas Frank just sort of dismissed that question. Yeah. I've got to make changes. I've got to make those decisions. Like, I mean, to me, absolutely outrageous that he should have come off instead of Kolo Muani. In terms of the back line, look, Ben Davies, poor bloke. I hope he's okay. I'd imagine that looked so bad that I'd imagine he's probably certainly a season ender. I mean, I don't know what we do. I really don't know what we do with regards. Hang on, who's texting me? People are texting me. Hang about. Yeah, look, Christian Romero on this one, getting the man of the match rating, 8.5, on it because he scored a goal. Right? But if you actually, I think he lost most of his. He did. Like, he lost most of his ground duels, right? Against who? Against Titi Castellanos, right? And Felipe Falope. He lost 60% of his ground duels. He's supposed to be the physical guy. He won a lot of the aerial duels. He did win a lot of the aerial duels, but there's more to the game than that. 5 clearances, 2 interceptions. I thought he had a shocking first half. Second half, he was much better. But, look, just really poor. But I think the midfield too weren't set up well at all. I don't know when it was that Archie Gray got his knock. I know he came off at halftime. I don't remember when it was that he was in pain. But absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. And look, we go 1-0 down. And then, of course, second half, it's all Tottenham. You can see, again, by the momentometer, it is all Tottenham. All Tottenham. In fact, they scored their goal without even getting a bit of momentum out. Just, it was a cheeky corner kick. But you just knew it was going to happen. And I thought the second half was enjoyable. The fans were right behind it. The fans were screaming and cheering. We were all sort of marching towards the same outcome. And when we got the goal in the 65th minute or whatever it was, the Romero header, it felt like for the next 10 minutes that we would have something about us. But West Ham locked in, sat deep, and then we just didn't really have any answers. We didn't have any real answers from the attacking threat. It felt like we could have had 2 more days in that game and not really create much. It says, like, the stats suggest, guys, that we had 21 shots. Was it 21 total shots, right? But only 6 on target. Good save from Bissouma, who, by the way, when Bissouma came on, I mean, look, is that not another demonstration of a bit of a faux pas from Thomas Frank? right? He punished Bissouma for his lack of professionalism, which I support. I don't know how long he was supposed to punish him for, but he hasn't played a single minute all season. Comes in 45 minutes, does a really good job, puts in an unbelievable shot, good save from the keeper. But there's been absolutely no consequences to the actions of anybody else in the football team. Jed Spence throwing his shirt on the ground. It wasn't caught on camera, but we heard from eyewitnesses that it happened. Down the tunnel, no consequences. Walking off the pitch, dismissing or disregarding the instruction of the manager. No respect shown. Any consequences? No. Van der Ven, same thing. Any consequences? No. Udogie, same thing. Any consequences? No. Christian Romero calling out the club. Any consequences? No. Like you've got to have it's got to be a meritocracy on the pitch. If you work hard, try harder, work harder. If you work hard and you put your best foot forward amongst a set of players that there's really no discernible difference in quality between, like from what I've seen, Kolo Muani and Mathys Tel and Odegaard and Kudus, that they're all about as good as each other, if I'm entirely honest. And the same at the back, right? Romero has stinkers some weeks, put good performances the next week. Kevin Danso hasn't really put a foot wrong. Only in one game can I think of Kevin Danso having a bad one, and that was against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, where he was asked to play on the left side of a back four, or the back two, the centre-backs. But every single time that those players come in, it's only because someone needs a rest or because someone's been suspended, once again, for poor professionalism, in Romero's case, like not leaving the pitch, and also for the petulant yellow card that he got for kicking out. There's a club statement in 1 minute. Is that real, or are you just saying that? Let me quickly do some super chats, guys, and we'll get back to it. Elvis G, big up to you, Elvis G. He says he's putting a super sticker. Big up to you, Elvis, man. I really appreciate you, buddy. Choo choo to you. Choo choo to you, buddy. Hope you're okay, my man. Thank you very much indeed for your support. Box Kev, unbelievable, Box Kev. So generous, my man. So very, very, very generous, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. Super sticker as well from you. Choo choo to you, Box, mate. So nice of you, Kev. Appreciate you, mate. You're up early over your side of the pond. Big up to you, buddy. Thank you very much. JFK has also said Spurs decline continues because of a passive attending fan base, enables poor ownership, management, manager, and players. Attending fans are the problem. Well, look, we're definitely going to talk about that in a minute, right? Because I do think that there's a massive disconnect between the social media fans, wherever they are in the world, and how much time and attention they put towards their football club. What percentage of the total fan base are willing to watch donuts like me talk about football, talk about Tottenham? A very small percentage. And the ones that go to the game, there was 100 people 150 people max at the protest. Despite all of the PR, I didn't have as much PR as the last one. But there was no one there. Like there was like 150 people, Change for Tottenham probably have to feel a little bit sad about that, I think. But again, I think it just got. We'll come to it. We'll come to it. Big up to you, JFK. Big up to you. Thank you very much for the super chat. And I don't disagree with you about the fact that there's a disconnect between the match-going fans and the online fans. But at the same time, I think a lot of people sit there and say, well, the owners are the owners, right? Like you can put pressure on them, but they're not going anywhere. And in fact, I've got a video I've got to show you guys as a friend of the show, Trevor, who spoke to Vivian, Viv Lewis in the West Stand premium section yesterday. And mixed reactions about how that went. I'll show you that video in a second. Rob Brown, big up to you, Robbie boy. Thank you very much indeed, my man. Appreciate you. Choo choo to you. Choo Dini's in the house as well. Big up to Choo Dini. He has put in a super sticker. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Choo choo to you. Tottenham EZ has said, it's time to cut our losses. We tried and the experiment just didn't work. As much as I would love Poch to come in, go and throw the old pocketbook at Xabi Alonso. Listen, I've been bringing that to your attention the last couple of days, all the transfer news, views and clues, that apparently Xabi Alonso is open-minded to come to Tottenham. I mean, listen, if you get Xabi Alonso, I think you do it, right? I'm not sure what his style of play is, though, to be entirely honest. One second. I feel like when he was at Leverkusen, he played high possession but a back three football. But he had a wonderful squad of defenders and fullbacks to play with. Right, he had Frimpong, didn't he? He had Jonatar. He had so many. Hincapi. He had a brilliant back three to work with, and he won the league with consummate ease. At Real Madrid in the 6 months, I'm not really sure what sort of style of football he played. But listen, if you can get him in, you go for it, right? Especially if you can get him in now. But again, we have to talk about that. We'll talk about what we're going to do with Thomas Frank. Big up to you, Tottenham Easy. Thank you very much indeed, mate. Very generous as well. And Blaine Dev, big up to you, Blaine. He has put in 5 Spurs Talk Show memberships. Big up to you, my man. I really appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much for the love there, buddy. Thank you so much. Please, if you did receive one of those 5 memberships, then please do say thank you to Blaine. And I'll see you on the Spurs on the fan show as soon as possible when I get around to doing it. I'm trying to find all the time. I've got so much going on in my life. Excuse me, in my life, but we're going to get to it. But thank you so much, Blaine. Appreciate you, mate. Love to you, buddy. Eamon has just come in one saying Palace have not sacked Glasner. I guess they want compensation. No one can do well with a keeper who costs us 12 to 15 points with his mistakes. You know what, Eamon? I said this in the pub after the game. I said no one's talking about. Like I think we need to reprioritize where in the pecking order of transfer issues or squad weakness issues is our goalkeeper. You know, like, yes, he made an unbelievable save for the goal that was chalked off. Because remember, West Ham could have been 3-0 up, right? Like they scored one goal that was offside in the first half. But I'm not sure if the initial save, like if he'd missed the first one, whether that would have been offside. I'm not sure, but I think it's because it was saved and it comes back out and then gets put in. I think then that guy was offside. So I'm not sure. But an amazing shot stopper. I don't think he was at fault for the first goal. It took a horrendous deflection. But it's the playing out from the back thing. It drives me up the wall. It drives me mental, and it drives people in the stadium mental. What he's up to, you know. Just look, he's got nothing going on up here. Like he's like elevator music stuff or the clown show music. I don't know what he's thinking. He chews up so much time just to pass it to a defender who then passes it back. Passes it to Romero, passes it back. Like, what are we doing? And then we end up just lumping it up the field anyway. We end up just kicking it up the field anyway. It's such an unbelievably frustrating experience to watch Vicario play out from the back. Like the guy, I genuinely think, and he wastes so much time when we're chasing a game. I don't think there's that a hell of a lot going on up there. I really don't. I'm not trying to call him dumb, but you know, if the cap fits, right? I don't think he's an instinct guy. He's an instinct guy, right? Like if the less time he has to think, the better he is. The more time he has to think, the wheels fall off. So I agree with you about Vicario. I think we need to reprioritize how much of an issue he is. But I'm not sure personally if he was responsible for anything that happened. Yes, again, the goal, the corner kick at the end, the second goal. I don't know. Wasn't there a period of time when goalkeepers were getting that protection recently and then they suddenly weren't again? But yeah, look, you know, other goalkeepers just become a bit of they boss that, right? Other keepers just clear everybody out in the process of getting to the ball. And he doesn't. He's weak in that situation. You know, there's too many weaknesses to his game. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. And Drewski, big up to Drewzilla. He's also gifted 5 Spurs Talk Show. What a man you are, Drew. I want to talk about my club. Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank, he's got to go. He's got to go. Big up to you, Drew. I hope you're okay, mate. Thank you very much. If you did receive a membership from Drewski, then please do say thank you to him, and we will look forward to meeting you guys on the Fan Phone show, which I hope Drew will come back and co-host if he's got the time. I know how busy he is, but when Drew's on the show, everyone has a good time. Big up to you, Drew. Thank you so much. And Sean Michael was put in one saying, big up to you, Shawnee. Sexy boy. Just been told Frank has been sacked. I've been hearing that as well on Twitter. Big up to you, my man. Look, we'll stay here and see what's going on. If there's a breaking news, a bomber. We have to talk about it, though, right? We do have to talk about this because he did get booed, guys, at the end of the show, at the end of the game yesterday, right up where I sit in the south stand. As soon as that second goal went in, it was, you're getting sacked in the morning. You're getting sacked in the morning. And look, My take has always been, I don't rate him. I don't want him. I've never really been on board him. I wasn't anti-Frank when he came in. I was kind of like meh. I was a bit meh about the whole thing. But as I was saying to you guys a minute ago, I got off the point as I always do on these rambles. But for me, I judge a manager on what I see and what I hear. And what I see from him is really poor substitutions. What I hear from him is constantly prioritizing defensive considerations and a lot of excuses. Do I sympathize or empathize with the fact that he's had a hell of a lot of injuries? 100%. Do I empathize with the fact that he decided that he didn't want to just buy a player in the summer who he didn't think was perfect for what he wanted to achieve, and so he'd rather wait and work with what he has? Yeah. I think that was a brave decision. And if you do sack a guy for being patient, especially when the manager is, when the CEO and the leadership have come out and basically said, you know, this is our plan, right? This is our strategy. This is our structure, and we're going to build it out. Then look, you know, I think you have to start questioning a lot of things at the football club with regards the process. Okay, so let's not forget, Vinay said that Thomas Frank was the correct candidate that was identified after an exhaustive process. An exhaustive process of shortlisting, you know, dozens of potential candidates, and he was the winner. Well, it hasn't worked out, has it? So who was figuring out the process? Who was identifying the characteristics of what we're looking for? Show me what that looks like. Tell me what that manifesto or that 10-point plan was. Explain to me how it was that Thomas Frank landed at number 1 on your list, because I want to challenge the criteria. I want to challenge the list. I'd like to see who else was on that list and why it was that they fell off the list and why Thomas Frank got in. Because it's not like Thomas Frank was the cheap option. He's the 4th most expensive, or the 4th highest paid manager in the Premier League. He's getting paid as much as Unai Emery. The only managers that are getting paid more are Slot Arteta and Pep Guardiola. Eddie Howe doesn't get paid 8 million quid a year. And you take him all day long. So whatever the criteria was for identifying a manager, cost wasn't one of them. The wage bill wasn't one of them. You know? Was it Levy's? Was it Levy or was it Vinay? It doesn't matter. We are where we are, but I want to know what that looked like, because to me, if you put shit in, you get shit out, right? That's the way that formulas work. That's the way that equations kind of work, right? That's the way that, you know, you put shit in your body, speaking from experience, you get shit out. You end up being a fatty or unwell or unhealthy. So if you put in terrible criteria into what it is you're looking for, then you're going to end up with a terrible candidate. I'm not saying Thomas Frank is a terrible manager, but I'm saying he's a terrible fit for this football club. He's a terrible fit for this football club. He doesn't understand the fans. I don't think he gets it. Right. And if you're paying attention, which is what my point is, right? I'm always listening. I listened to what Ange said. I never resented Ange for his style of football. I applauded his approach to football. I did challenge the narrative of, you know, is there maybe a reason why? Is there possibly a reason why it is that no other manager plays gung-ho football in the Premier League at this level? You know, it's not as if every manager wouldn't rather play attractive football if they can, but they don't, because they play to the strength of they play to what they have, right? They work within their means, so to speak. You know, I don't believe that Sam Allardyce would always want to play boring football, but he's put into a team that's struggling and they need to be a certain style of football and they need to sort of dig out results, right? So David Moyes, for example, right? He's trying to play better football now that he has better players at his disposal at Everton. So, like, there's a reason why no other manager plays the way that Ange did, and it's because it's unsustainable and because teams can figure out simple templates. But Thomas Frank... So, sorry, my point being, I never had a problem with Ange's vision. I thought it was a little bit naive, but I appreciated what he was trying to achieve. What I had a problem with was when you start to listen to what he was saying and you realize that he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. You know, I say 25 things. One of them's going to be right. And I want to remind you all about the one thing and then pretend I didn't say the other 24. That sort of thing pissed me off at the end. With Thomas Frank, I'm listening to what he's saying. And what he's saying to me is he comes across as a manager that's never going to inspire. He's never going to motivate. He comes across as a guy that's happy with draws against teams that are, you know, mid-table, because he's used to thinking of those teams as a good result when he was at Brentford. And I think he thinks about players, and his first consideration about these players is what are they capable of doing off the ball, which to me is not the right priority. It's not the right way you go about it, right? So that's where my issue with him is, and I think that, if I'm entirely honest, I think that you have to let him go, because I've been saying for a long time, guys. I've been saying to you that, you know, I don't think he's the right guy, and I think it would be unreasonable to sack a guy who has, you know, essentially taken one for the team in not like just accepting whatever he's given that's better than what he has. He'd rather wait, probably under the guise and the illusion or the promise of the leadership that this is a project, you're a part of the project. But at the same time, you can't carry on like this. The fans have gone. The fans have entirely lost him. When 200 or 150 people turn up to a protest about the owners, and 17,000 people sing "You're getting sacked in the morning," Vinay will have seen both of those situations. And I think on that basis, he only has one decision he has to make. He has to take it. Otherwise, he will dilute whatever perceived brand value the new owners have. If 150 people are not pointing the finger at the ownership right now, if only 150 people at the stadium are singing about ENIC of 62,000, and yet 17,000 are singing about the manager, Vinay has to make a decision. He has to make a decision. Otherwise, people will start pointing towards the ownership for not being strong enough to make a difficult decision. And you have to reflect back to the decision that he took regarding the dual DOF role and say, that was pathetic. That was a pussy-esque kind of move, right? Gutless, that you couldn't make out. You couldn't decide who was going to be ahead or behind in the pecking order. By the way, it looks as though part of the reason why Paratici's leaving isn't just because he wanted to go back to Florence, or go back to Italy with allegedly his new wife or his new girlfriend or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. And if it isn't true, then those rumors are horrendous, by the way, because he's a family man. If it is true, then fair enough, whatever. But if he is Paratici is, there's lots of rumors out there saying that part of the reason why he wanted to go is because he didn't rate Thomas Frank. He never wanted Thomas Frank. And he's been pushing for De Zerbi or Igor Tudor or insert any number of other people here, right? And so it begs the question: what is the who is it that's making the decisions, right? Who is it that led that fine-tuning process that landed on Thomas Frank? If Paratici was still involved as a consultant at the time, and if he came back knowing that Frank was here and he didn't want him, why did he come back anyway? The whole thing's an absolute mess and a disgrace, right? But for me, Thomas Frank, he has to go on merit, and you're almost at a point where it doesn't matter whether you have the solution in place for what's next. Manchester United don't have the solution in place for what's next. They went and bought in Michael Carrick as an interim. Maybe Michael Carrick thinks that if I do a really good job, maybe there's a chance that I can get a full-time gig here. And he might be right. Well, I'll tell you what, beating Manchester City in your first game or second, whatever, his first official game is a hell of a good way to ingratiate yourself with the fan base. And do we really think that Amorim's Manchester United would have beaten City yesterday? 100% no. 100% no. So maybe you can sack a manager and bring in an interim. And even if you don't know who that interim is right now, I think that Vinay has to look at that kind of, just that in isolation. What happened yesterday? 150 people turn up to a protest that was wildly spread and shared on this channel, on all of the big channels, or the medium sites, every channel, every Twitter, every social media, all the podcasts. It's been everywhere. It was on TalkSport again. Billy, shout out to Billy, got onto TalkSport again. It was spread by some of the BBC journalists again. It didn't have quite as much PR spin as the previous one, but it had a fairly large, widespread reach. And only 150 people turn up to it. And yet 17,000 people were calling for the head of the, or more. I don't know if it's 17,000, but it certainly felt like the entire South Stand was singing it ferociously. And so I say, like, Vinay, for me, he's got one decision to make, and he has to make it. Otherwise, not making it will make people start to question his strength of character, his willingness to make tough decisions. And I already am, by the way. I already am, because he didn't make a tough decision when it came to the DOF. Let me get a couple more super chats, guys, and I want to move to this. Speaking about Vinay, we're going to talk a little bit about his pre-match posting. Danny Wetts, big up to you. He says, too dangerous to wait for a turnaround. February fixtures equals relegation battle. Sack him. Take the new manager bounce. Escape relegation fears. See, what I'd say on that, Danny, right, is there's an argument to say, yeah, sack him today. But there's another argument where you could say, do you want to give the interim, that new manager bounce? Do you really want that new manager bounce to come against Dortmund when we have absolutely like threadbare options in how and who we can play in midfield? Micky van der Ven is suspended. You know, it's pretty bleak what we can put out on that one. And then obviously Burnley. Or do you wait until after Burnley? Because you'd like the new manager bounce to come against Arsenal, right? If there is a new manager bounce. And you're right, February is a horrendous month. February is horrendous. So like I say, we could easily be sucked up into relegation. And that would be the death of the football club. I see people saying like, oh, don't worry, you get that kind of the bumper money when you drop down. That's just like a bit of a soft landing. You get less money from the bumper pay than you do from staying in the Premier League and getting all the TV rights and all that stuff. Like, you're screwed if you get relegated. You're absolutely screwed. So anybody that's saying, you know, take the hit, go down, it will force the owners to sell. It won't. It will force the owners to sell the players for cheap. And then they won't sell because the value of the football club will drop in half, but they'll see it as just a momentary time, a blip in time, and we'll be back in the Premier League this next season. So anyone that's sort of supporting this notion of relegation, as I said last season as well, like people that are saying go down and the owners will sell, they won't sell. The only things they'll sell will be the players that force the club's hand to leave. And if this carries on the way it's going, we could easily end up. It's still a long shot. It's still like different, unlikely scenario, but it's not beyond the pale. You know. Steve Dyer, big up to you, Steve Dyer. He says the final decision was Levy's. What's that on Thomas Frank? Yeah, fair enough. I didn't know that, but either way, I still want to see what the criteria was, because I feel like the criteria must have been something like. You know, we need a manager that doesn't play the way that Tottenham fans expect us to play. We need a manager that doesn't inspire players. We need a manager that makes strange tactical decisions. I don't know. Just the version of Thomas Frank that I've seen versus the version of Thomas Frank that I was reassured that this is what he's going to do to us. Coaching players, get the best out of play. I haven't seen anybody get any better. I haven't seen a single player in Tottenham. Maybe Odebear. But I haven't seen anybody else really get better at all. You know? Big up to you, though, mate. Garden Restore UK. Big up to you, buddy. He says, Ross here. Nice to meet you yesterday. Big up to you, Ross. Lovely to meet you, mate, as well. Thanks, man. Thanks for your support and everything, buddy. Really appreciate you, mate. Hope your day wasn't too too stressful. Big up to you, buddy. Thank you so much for the support, my man. Really appreciate you, mate. Rob Brown says, Change for Tottenham should get an online petition going. Mate, the online fan base don't feel the same as the match-going fans. They don't. You guys that have got the time, the inclination, the interest, the passion, whatever, to spend all day long listening to people like me and Savers and the We Are Tottenhams and the Cowlins and the Ricky Saxes and everybody in between, and you go on, you listen to all the podcasts, and you guys spend more of your time indulging in this stuff. So I would argue that you have, you're more passionate in terms of what you're willing to contribute. Same with the away fans, right? The away fans, I don't know if the away fans listen to like donuts like me or other people, but they certainly spend more of their money and more of their time traveling around the world or around Europe for the most part, following their passion. And so I think generally speaking, there is a natural correlation, not sure if it's causation, but a correlation between how much time, money, energy, whatever that you contribute towards your football team in a variety of different ways to how you feel about the football club. And generally, the more that you put in, the more pissed off you are. And the less that you put in, the less pissed off you are. And I think a lot of people that go to the game, they think about Tottenham on a Friday night. They go, we're playing West Ham on Saturday. And then today they wake up and they're pissed off. But on Monday morning, they are, they're back doing their work, life, problems with the wife, problems with the kids, whatever. So I just think there's a different, like the online space isn't the real world. Maybe it should be, maybe it shouldn't be. That's just my take on it. Want to understand we have game of two halves. Want to understand why we have a game of two halves. Yeah. It's been the case forever, mate. It's been the case forever. I remember under Conte, we used to call it second half FC. Under Conte, when we had Sonny, when we had Kane, when we had Højbjerg, we still couldn't put together 90 minutes of football. But I don't mean 90 minutes of like constant success, because there's going to be waves, isn't there, in the game? But yeah, we're not capable. But I don't think we're under Conte, the second half FC thing, it might have been 1-1 at half time or 0-0, or we might have been winning 1-0. But I'm talking about the kind of the quality of the performance got better in the second half. I think this, to a degree, I think it was the same with the inverse with Mourinho. Mourinho, we would go 1-0 up in the first half and then spend the entire second half parking the bus. And the reason why I think he lost his job towards the end was because, well, I don't know this specific reason, but part of the reason I think that pissed people off was because we would draw so many games 1-1 by conceding a late goal when we had just been parking the bus for the entire second half. I don't think Tottenham have had a consistent kind of 90 minutes of appropriate, balanced and well-energized football since Pochettino. A lot of people singing his name yesterday, by the way. A lot of people singing for Pochettino's name to come back. And again, I'll just maintain this, what I've been saying to you guys for a while. I personally believe that Pochettino will, if he does come back, it won't work. It won't work. But I feel like Tottenham fans need to get it out of our system. Put that whole... We're still living in this post-Poch era. Like, we've had 5 new girlfriends since him. And every single one of them has been compared to him. But you know what? You know what was so cool about that girlfriend that you had, when you were younger? It's you. I don't know. I'll just use an analogy. You fell in love when you were traveling around the world after university or whatever, right? Like you're on your gap year. You fell in love with a bird that you met in Rio de Janeiro, and she came with you to Australia, and it was amazing. And then you're 10 years further on. You're now in a career, but your boss is a donut. You've got a mortgage that you can barely afford to pay. You've got kids that need this, and a wife that you're not particularly that you're not mad about. She's put on a bit of the baby weight or whatever. She hasn't lost the baby weight, and all you think about is that girl from 10 years ago. But you're not traveling anymore, right? You've got like there's other things going on in your life, and so You don't know where she is, but if she came back into your life right now, chances are it's not going to be as cool as it was then, because the environment of the situation was a little bit different. And then the environment at Tottenham Hotspur in 2016 was different to now. That whole build-up, we were looking forward to the new stadium and what it was promised to represent. And like we were like, oh, imagine, like, we're doing all this with these young kids. When we get the new stadium and all this money's going to come in, now we just like do this, and that, and it's going to be magic. And then we went to Wembley and we were playing in 80,000 seater, capacity games. We beat Real Madrid. Like, everything was going in the right direction, not just in the present, but the short-term future looked so appealing as well. And then you got to the second place in the league. Okay, you didn't quite make it, but next time we're getting there. We're getting there. Everything was great. Everything was optimistic. It's when you're 21 years old, the world looks brilliant. And when you meet a bird traveling, you fall in love. Everything's fantastic. Suddenly you're 31, you're 41, you're 51, whatever. And it's just not the same. So I don't know why I'm talking. This has been too long of an analogy, but I hope you get the point. When we had Pochettino, even the competition were going through their own versions of rebuilds and transitional phases, and those variables that you can't control, but that do impact your ability to find your own successes, i.e. what other people are doing. Those things were in our favor as well at that time. That's how Leicester did it, right? Leicester were fortunate about that situation. They got over the line. But for me, Pochettino coming back now, I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary to scratch the itch, but I don't think it will be the solution. I'm waiting for Sean to break down about Sheila from Down Under. Mate, I've never got over Helga. I didn't even she gave me the wrong bloody number. Anyway, let's get some super chats done. Obviously, most people, says Tall Tart, think that they can make a much larger protest impact by only booing Frank in the ground, which they achieved. Frank train derailed. Listen, maybe that, but I also think that the fan base generally look about the things that they can impact immediately. I think a lot of people are a little bit, I don't know, maybe in the real world, they just think, look, am I really going to waste my time protesting against an owner who doesn't want to leave? And I'm going to come to show you that video in a second from Trevor the Yid. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much. User whole Spurs. It's sad to say our objective this season is to avoid relegation. Yeah. Do you remember last week I was saying the season's over? It ain't over. Season's not over. There might be another problem that's bubbling up, Lose to Burnley and dear, oh dear. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much. North London guy, big up to you, mate. He's put in a super sticker. Appreciate you, mate, very much. Thank you very much for your support, my man. The 2 Mark show says, lovely to meet you yesterday. And you, Mark. And you, my man. Great to meet you, buddy. Great to put a face to one of the 2 Mark's names. Appreciate you, mate. Big up to you. AU's has come back in and says, Levy explains it back in July on the site. He says, Frank labelled highly intelligent, great communicator and superhuman being to compete in all competitions. A superhuman being. A superhuman being. Well, shall we get Mother Teresa in, shall we? What are we doing here? I don't care about your moral compass. I don't care if you're a nice guy. Is he a great communicator? Is he? In what way? In what way? I think you need to have the respect of the players, and I think you need to have the respect of the fans. And I think in all the little micro moments, I don't think he's won the respect of the fans or the players. I think part of it from the same incidents. Like, I would respect Thomas Frank more if he said, we're fining Romero 2 weeks' wages for the outburst. Like, he might be, like, whether or not he's right to say it's unacceptable behavior. I would say, and Romero needs to learn that lesson as well, by the way, that he gets away with it twice. He's going to do it again, isn't he? Because there's no consequences for him doing it. Even accusing the board of lying, of dishonesty without any evidence. Sorry. Like, it's just, I'm not defending the board, by the way. I'm defending the principle of behavior, of professionalism. And people have said to me in the chat, if Mathys Tel did that, you'd support him. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. If Mathys Tel came out and said, I feel like Thomas Frank has thrown me under the bus, I'd say, okay, right. And you calling that out is going to achieve what? You want to engineer a move, right? If you don't want to be here, fuck off. I don't care. I've got no love for Mathys Tel. I just think he's going to be a better player than most people say he will. I think people have written him off. But I don't like public exposés of or public exposure, public insight into a disharmonious, if that's even a word, disharmonious regime. Like, you need to keep these things. You need to look, at least appear like you're a tight ship. It looks like the tail's wagging the dog in this football club. I think it's terrible, and I think that's part of the problem. I think that it doesn't look like there's leadership. It doesn't look like there's any respect from the people here to the people here, from the people here to the people here, and then the fans that are around here, that they get smoke blown up their arse all the time. Big up to you, mate. Big up to you though, user. Not particularly. Drew Zilla's just saying got a holiday tomorrow, so got the day off. Could co-host a member show. Yeah, buddy, let's do Monday. We're doing a member show on Monday. Drewski, big up to you, my man. Oh, excuse me. North London guys, I've done that one already. Big up to you, my man. Rainer says, good to speak briefly yesterday. You giant flip flop. Big up to you, Rain. Good to see you, mate. Thank you very much, man. Look, member show tomorrow, buddy. Come on. And to all the 10 new members that have been gifted memberships today, you guys get a chance to come on as well. I'll put I'll set the stream up, and then go into the community section or the post section, whatever it is, on the Spurs Talk Show YouTube page, and the members will see the StreamYard link. First come, first serve tomorrow at whatever time the show is. Big up to you, Rain. Thank you very much. Adam Gill says, do you think of the home and away from flipped? Do you think of the home and away from flipped, but the league position is the same? Would that buy Frank? Oh, do I think if the home and away form flipped, but the league position is the same, would that buy Frank more time? Yeah. Yeah. We've won 6 home games we have won. 6 home games in the Premier League in the last 18 months, season and a half. 6. And the average season ticket, my season ticket costs about 1,200 quid, right? So let's say a season ticket and a half. So 1,800 quid to watch 6 home wins in the Premier League, because all the other games you have to pay for separately. £300 per win. £300 per win. Let that sink in. Viva Street costs you less, and you're guaranteed a win there. Unless you make a mistake, and then you might lose heavily. Big up to you, Adam Gill. Big up to you. Logan THFC has also put in a super sticker. Big up to you, Logan. Thank you very much indeed, my man. Appreciate you. Right, let's, over that time, look at the amount of goals, creativity we have lost and not replaced. Yeah. Yeah. But we didn't know what we tried to replace the goals of Maddison with Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons hasn't delivered. Again, I think in no small part because the tactics don't support Xavi Simons. Sit back on the halfway line, which I could to some degree accept if you're playing against Arsenal or whatever, or against Chelsea. Not even that really, but in certain scenarios, I can understand like one go, one stay. But I can't accept that against West Ham at home. Like, what are we doing here? And by the way, even in spite of that, when they broke and they got the ball to Somerville, we made Somerville look like prime Messi yesterday. Somerville. Championship level Somerville. Oh, he's not championship level, but he was playing in the championship. He's a good player, but I mean, come on now. Ridiculous. And I think we have tried to replace, Mwani. He's not bagging the goals in, but we've certainly tried to. It's not like we've left the entire front to just suffer the consequences of the injuries and the losses. We have tried to replace. They just haven't replaced, Ryan, big up to you, my man. Ryan Trestane, becoming a new member of the show. Big up to you, buddy. Hopefully get to see you tomorrow, mate, for a chinwag. Appreciate you, mate. Thanks for the support. He'll get sacked when we get kicked out of the Champions League. 100%. 100%. I think, yeah, look, I think to me, I think the situation regarding him, I'm almost at the point where I always said to you guys, like, I don't think that you can't sack him right now. I don't know where you replace, I don't know how you go about replacing that sort of, right now, like what you're supposed to do. But I also feel like I might have to sort of update my position on that after yesterday's performance. I expected a win yesterday, nothing but a win. And I expected it against Burnley as well. But I don't know where we're getting our next win, guys. I really don't. And look, the Premier League table looks precarious. It looks precarious. It's really not it's not beyond the realms of possibility. It really isn't. We're 14th. Bournemouth will go above us if they beat or if they draw or if they beat Brighton. And Bournemouth, who've had their team absolutely ransacked. Leeds have got better form than us. Right? I mean, Forest drew with Arsenal yesterday. So that's a real momentum sort of shaker for them. I don't know. Look, 10 points in it. 10 points in it. There's still 16 games to play. It's not done by any stretch of the imagination. And I genuinely don't know where our next win is coming from. I don't think that we're going to beat Burnley. I don't think we're going to beat Burnley. And then after that, look at the Premier League fixtures that we've got. How do I find it? Is it here? Yeah, so Brentford. Look at that for a February, guys. Look at that for a February. Oh, we ain't getting anything from that. We could be pointless in February. Should we have a look at West Ham's? Imagine if West Ham fucking catch us. Jesus Christ. Where are we? Oh, no, that's not it. How do I do this? Go back. Go back. There you go. So they got Sunderland at home, and then Chelsea, and then their February is Burnley, United, Bournemouth, Liverpool. I mean, still tough, but it's nothing like ours. The Man City game is on general. Isn't every game on general sale at the moment? I don't think they'll go down, Matthew, but I genuinely don't see where our next victory is coming from. I don't. And again, right, for me, if you are just looking, I've got to reinforce this message, right? If you are looking at from well, this is how I look at it. I'm already questioning the ability to make tough decisions. Like, I think Vinay is a very good communicator. Okay, I'm going to come to this pre-match thing that he said. Because I think he's very good at communicating when he needs to. But and that's fine. I can give tick, right? Tick, you're a good communicator. Cool. But are you making the right decisions? Communication is a communications officer thing. We've just hired a director of communications. Maybe you should be in that role if you're the master of talking. But the actions, the actually making difficult decisions when you need to make them and making the right ones more often than you make the wrong ones. Trust me, right? I used to work in a big corporate like Google and that, and like I had my job to do, just my job, and I was pretty good at it. I had enough. I thought I could do better on my own. I went home and came home and set up my own marketing agency. All of a sudden, I have to be the accountant. I have to be the cook, the cleaner, the strategist, the expert in what I do, and the employer. And, all these other facets that come into and I had no idea how to do any of those things. I had no idea. Figured them out, made loads of bad decisions, loads of mistakes. You hopefully get better and you improve. But it's one thing to be good at one thing and then to extrapolate that and expect you to be good at everything else. Right? You see that a lot in life, right? Actors decide that because they're popular in the acting world, that they have the right to tell everybody how to feel about politicians or whatever else, right? Or you see Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, who, because he's an expert in understanding how space works, he's also someone who can sit there and lecture you on how, pharmaceutical things work or how politics work. Like, shut the F up Just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at anything else, right? So, but Vinay, if you want to be CEO, bro, you've got to make tough decisions. And I'm starting to challenge whether or not he's good enough at making the tough decisions, whether he can really sit or get off the pot. I don't think he made the right decision with the co-directors. I really want to see what the process was to find that Thomas Frank was the right profile that what we needed. I'd love to know why it is that players like Ademola Lookman were decided not to be worth going after for €1.5 million, because to me and most people that I speak to, that's the most obvious, cheap option with no obligation to get us through a sticky period of a guy that can score goals when the front four at Tottenham Hotspur can't score a goal to save their life. But yet we decide to let him go to Turkey. Ridiculous. I would like to know what these processes look like, because I'm starting to question whether the processes are actually any are worth trusting. Right? I don't think they are. Let's have a look. Right? Let's have a look at this. So this was his post-match thing. So I won't go through the whole thing, right? But he obviously comes out and says, opportunity for a genuine reset are rare in clubs of our size, and we have been determined not to waste this moment as we make the changes needed behind the scenes to compete consistently at the highest level. Football has changed significantly in recent years, and while the club has evolved and achieved incredible things, we recognise that in some key areas we have not always kept pace. We all feel the gap between where we are and where we want to be, and while we know progress takes time, we share your impatience to close it. So a little slide dig there at the previous iteration, right? Player trading. We believe in our current squad. It's important that, so it's really clever wording, right? Really clever wording here. We believe in our current squad, but we must add more quality. So he's not saying that the current squad, he's not like throwing the current squad under the bus, but he's saying we need to add, which is sort of different to what someone like Romero was inferring when he basically says the board needs to be coming out and talking about why it is that it's January and we can't be bringing in new players, which you are inferring in saying that you'd think that your teammates are donuts. And as I said before, one of the main beneficiaries of this shitty system that we're playing is Richalison. And if Richalison's sitting there applauding Romero calling out the board, he's sort of talking himself out of a place in the team. Because if we played with a different manager that had more of a footballing ethos, Richarlison wouldn't be in the team. He's a beneficiary of this shit show, not a victim of it. Anyway, doing so requires a more proactive approach to recruitment alongside a wage structure that supports our ambition, right? So good, right? Everyone's talking about the wage structure. That's good. It's good to hear. Great to hear. We are fully focused on strengthening the squad in January, where the right opportunities exist, while recognizing that the most significant player trading activity typically comes in the summer windows. See, this is, again, where I would say, I've been saying this to you guys on my player updates or on my transfer news, views, and clues updates, right? I've been saying to you guys, I don't think that this window is... The market is shit. It's really poor, right? There's no strikers that I want to drop a lot of money on. I don't want to see Tottenham drop 85 million quid on Samu bloody Agahawa. I've not done it against anybody of any level ever. He might be a fantastic player, but for me, it's like 30 million, 35 million, and then maybe add-ons. He's nothing like £85 million. What are we doing here? But the rumours will persist. And they say that we've got first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth options. We've identified all of our targets. Well, you know what? I feel like in all likelihood, Savio was one of those targets, and he's now injured. So that's off. I feel like Malik Fofana was one of those targets, and he's off. Iliman Ndiaye was probably one of those targets, but Everton aren't willing to sell. Yan Diamandi's one of those targets. Both RB Leipzig aren't willing to sell, and he's already said he wants to go to Liverpool. Solis, who, by the way, there's a lot of... I rate him, but I can understand why, if you thought not really that keen on him, why I can get on board that. I totally understand the argument, right? Keenan Yildiz is about to sign a new contract with Juventus. So, for whatever reason, if those are the six, and they probably are, the six identified targets, 3 of them are injured, 2 of them don't want to come to Tottenham, and 1 of them says he wants to stay in the league and will move in the summer anyway, right? So they're either injured, don't want to come, or won't be being sold in January. So then what do you do? do you go, okay, let's move down to number 7th and 8th on the list? Someone like Mika Götze of Ajax. Yeah, he scored a lot of goals, right? Yeah, he's a left winger. He scored, I think, 8 goals and 6 assists or something like that in the Eredivisie. He's not ready for the Premier League. Again, might be a good player in 2 years' time. Might end up playing in Milan. Might end up playing in he might well do well. He might well do well, but he's not ready. So, do you really want Tottenham? Like, what do you want, guys? Do you want Tottenham right now to go and spend £45 million on a player that I would argue is no better than Wilson Odobert or Mathys Tel? Or at least not ready yet. And by the way, he's older at 20 than Mathys Tel is. People are like writing off Mathys Tel. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. But because he's had a relatively good form in a league that's the 9th best league, I think the Championship is one league below in the quality stakes, in the stack rank from the Eredivisie. Right, I think. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me. But I think that's the way it goes. I think you've got the top 5 and then 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I think that the Eredivisie is one league above the Championship in terms of perceived quality. So do you really want to do that? Or do you want to wait until the summer? Or do you go and get a loan deal if you can and you pay healthy amounts of money in the loan fee to make it worth the kind of loany club's time with an option that you don't have to take or you can take if you want to, or no obligation at all, no option at all? You know, someone like, I don't know, Ademola Lookman would have been perfect, but we let that one go. Again, do we have to trust these processes just because they say they have the process? Let's go back to this, right? So just remember the start, the very first paragraph or second paragraph. The joint ambition of our executive team, board and the Lewis family is clear: to see our men's team competing regularly in the Champions League and for major trophies while significantly raising the competitive level of our women's team. Our focus is sporting success, which is why recent months have been spent undertaking a thorough review of our operations. So he talks about player trading, talks about the difficulty in January, recognizing that the summer is bigger, which you might sit there and say, I agree. And I do agree the summer's it's obvious the summer's an easier window to do business. But this notion that was rolled out on all the Twitter by all the big, was it Tom Allnott of the Times yesterday saying, Spurs are determined to have a massive summer. Well, okay, cool. Something to look forward to then. But you're kicking the can down the road and you're asking us to trust us, bro, for 6 more months, right? Player trading on the third column here. Player trading is also about knowing when to sell and being decisive about moving players on who are not part of our future. 100%, right? Look, well communicated. I'm fine with you selling Brennan Johnson. I got no issue with you selling Brennan Johnson. And the fact that Kudos got injured the next day or the next couple of days, that's just bad luck. It is what it is. In an ideal world, you would have had someone ready that you've identified that you could move for. But just because you've identified your first to 6 options, if all of those options are players that are going to have a healthy amount of competition in for them and Tottenham don't sit at the top of that pecking order, don't believe that just because you're willing to loosen the purse strings and offer more salary, that those other teams that are also competing can't do the same. Manchester City didn't sign Mark Gahey because they're the only team that can pay him 320 grand a week. Like, they signed him because they're Manchester City and they have a high propensity to win trophies. If Tottenham are looking to sign players like Gahey or players like Yan Diamandi, players, whoever, whatever, if the people at the top are of the perception that just raising the wage structure is going to be the catalyst for it all working out, it'll all work out. No, you still got to compete with teams that can also pay those salaries and have a draw. They have the draw. So maybe just having 6 identified profiles, I don't know. Like maybe that's not enough. Maybe it's not enough. And by the way, if the scouting model that was put in place to identify Thomas Frank is an insight into the ability of our scouting generally for players as well, and I'm pointing at Rob McKenzie, who's the head of our scouting, then I want to challenge that. I want to challenge what it is that we are doing. Was Conor Gallagher an opportunity, or was he by the plan? Was he someone that came in because Bentancur got injured and we paid 40 million euros, which Atletico Madrid the noise came out. The space we can't turn that down. We immediately accepted it because we can't turn down 40 million euros for Conor Gallagher. So is Conor Gallagher part of a strategy, or was he just shit? We need to pivot here. And I don't mind pivoting into a direction when you have injury. I get it. It's fine. Do what you got to do. And if Conor Gallagher was someone that was available, that's someone that the club have looked at for a long time, it's fine. I'm not complaining about the signing at all. I'm fine with it. But he wasn't the midfield profile that we need. I thought he struggled yesterday, to be honest. I didn't think he looked at all like he. I think he looked handcuffed. I'll be honest. I think he looked handcuffed again. You could see his natural intonation, his natural intent in the second half. The handcuffs were off, and he was driving forward, getting involved. First half, when I said it at the start, when what's his name, Xavi broke free, he was told to sit back, as was Archie Gray. Madness, absolute madness. But anyway. I'm not complaining about Conor Gallagher. I'm just saying he wasn't first, second. He wasn't on the sixth profile, because surely we're looking for a passing midfielder as well. I don't know. I haven't had one of them for a while. We haven't got any of these people in. So where's this strategy? Where is it? Where's Rob McKenzie scouting? And like I say, if the managerial insight, if that whole process is an insight into the profiling, similar sort of data site, whatever, all that bollocks, it leaves a lot to be desired. Leaves a lot to be desired. And if they do sack Thomas Frank today, tomorrow, after Dortmund, whatever, let me ask you this: Would you have more respect? 1 and 0, guys. One, if you let me phrase the question first. Would you have more respect for the football club if it stood strong and stayed with the plan that it has identified, whether or not the plan looks like it's weird and shaky and full of questionable items? Or would you have less respect because the fans are right and the fans know that Thomas Frank isn't the guy and that they need to make a move because we're in jeopardy? Like, one, if you would respect the football club for saying, sorry, fans, I know you feel a certain way, but we have to believe in our vision that we've been working towards, and Thomas Frank's a part of that. One, if that's your outcome. I'm not saying don't do like one hit, should he be sacked or not. Would you respect the football club for sticking to their plan regardless of the fans' feelings? Because at least it's a plan. We've been asking for a plan. Does that make sense? Stay with whatever the plan is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So stay with whatever the plan is, Luke. That's one. Big up to you, Luke. That's my cousin, Luke. That's my cousin. Hello, Lukey. How are you, mate? Hope you're okay, buddy. I think that's my cousin. He's got a different way of spelling Hayes, but I'm sure it's my cousin. So one, if you want the football club to stick to the plan, Batman, regardless of whether the plan you agree with. And 0, if you're like, nah, look, tear this fucking plan up. This clown's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go. Big up to you, Lukey. If that is you, my man, big up to you. Even if it's not you, big up to you anyway. Do what's right, even if the plan changes, says Tadir is too dear. Tadir is too dear. Stick to the plan, says Rain. Stick to the plan, says Jordan. Christopher says stick to the plan. These guys are all saying, nah, get rid. Ryan Mason. Okay. Yeah, this is the problem though, right? Fans always, like when there was no plan, fans are saying, what's the plan? Now there's a plan. Thomas Frank's part of the plan. It hasn't worked so far. Doesn't mean it won't work, but it's certainly slow. It's a slow burn, isn't it? Let's be honest. And the plan, if we stick with it, might end up with us in the Championship next year. But what is it you want? Do you want the club to have a plan and to stick with it and to mitigate as you go along, or do you want the club to just give in to the whims of the fans? Who, by the way, the fans change their fucking mind every 5 minutes. We all do, right? We're all flip-flops. We all have short-termism, and the art to running a good business isn't to be short-term, viewed. It's to 100%, ride through the noise. and the volatility, and hopefully calmer seas are ahead. Well, they're saying they have a plan, Chris, aren't they? They're saying that they've done this massive review, and part of the plan is to raise the wage structure. Part of the plan is let's get back to the thing, right? So this is the plan essentially, right? This is what we were asking for. So the academy, they want a productive academy. It's vital. It provides first-team players without transfer fees and enables investment elsewhere in the squad. I think what the second part is there is saying you can sell some of those players as well. Crucially, it also develops players who grow up as supporters and truly understand what it means to pull on a Spurs shirt. That's a good point. While there has been good progress in recruitment and coaching in recent years, we must deliver greater first-team minutes and transfer returns from our academy. 100%. So sell them if they're not going to make it in our team. Give them chances to prove themselves. We're not doing enough of that. Again, though, right? So like Thomas Frank. Has Thomas Frank if this plan is not new today, right? If this plan wasn't just articulated, it wasn't written yesterday or written on Friday and delivered yesterday. If this is a plan that Thomas Frank was a part of, then at what point has Thomas Frank thus far engaged with the academy section of the plan? He hasn't played any of them, right? He played Luca Williams-Barnett for 15 minutes. I mean, listen, I know that it's difficult to give minutes to the youth when you're struggling in every game. I get it. Much easier when you're winning games comfortably. You can bring players on. Arsenal do that. Liverpool did that under Klopp. Allow the youngsters to come into an easier environment, an easier kind of introduction where the game's sort of finished anyway in terms of competitiveness. But yeah, we haven't seen any of that, have we? We have therefore committed additional investment to strengthen the academy pipeline of players and to support the systems needed for it further to flourish. Okay, we haven't seen much of that yet. I know it's 6 months, right? So 6 months. I know the academy takes a long time. But by the way, that academy process started long before Vinay came in. It started under Paratici. Player support and development. Whilst coaching is of course critical, and we have strengthened Thomas Frank's coaching staff with the appointment of Heitinger, maximizing performance is about more than coaching alone. We must be world class in performance services, including medical care, sports science, nutrition, and psychology, to ensure players are available and primed to compete at the highest level. The appointment of Dan Lewinson as performance director, who joins us next month from City Football Group. Look, we're taking a lot of people from City Football Group, aren't we? A lot of people, right? Started with Scott Munn. That didn't work out. We've now got this guy Lewinson, starts next month, and we got the guy Rafi. Yeah. I mean, having City Football Group on your CV sure as hell gives you an edge, I guess. Supporters. Perhaps most importantly, we know there is a distance between the club and our supporters, and we are committed to rebuilding that connection. With your input, we have introduced initiatives such as the new Sunny mural, ticketing changes, and a trial singing section, and we will continue to work closely with the Fan Advisory Board. Making matches more accessible for younger fans is a priority, and we will be reviewing concession policies for junior supporters and young adults. Good. That's important. 100%, I support that. We want Tottenham Hotspur to be a club that feels open, welcoming, and connected to the communities it represents. To strengthen engagement, we appointed Kate Miller as Chief Communications Officer and Adam Gardner as Chief Marketing Officer. This month, along with Rafi, they form part of a newly established executive team under my leadership. I thought Rafi was reporting into Johan Lang. Interesting. Reflecting a more modern and collaborative structure. I want to be clear that our ambition extends beyond the men's team. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. Look, this is the thing, right? If you want the fan, if you're trying to rebuild the connection with the fans, this again goes back to that question I have. Do you listen to the fans when they say that they want, certain outcomes regarding the manager? Or do you stick to the plan? Because I tell you what, if they sack him, then in the interest of balance, I'll have to question what the plan is and how much do they believe in the plan. If he was part of the plan and they give up on the plan after 6 months, I don't know. Because at the same time, they say it's business as usual. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I scratched my head. For me personally, I started this stream thinking and I still believe that Thomas Frank, there has to be consequences for your performance. There has to be. As I said at the start, do I blame Thomas Frank for Xavi Simons misplacing the passes 7 times yesterday? No. Do I blame Xavi Simons for not having the support of Archie Gray and Conor Gallagher in the first half, joining up behind the play? 100%. Do I blame Wilson Odobert for being all over the place in his positional sense in the first 45? Well, only if it was on him to keep to a position and he didn't. But if he was told to be fluid, then with fluidity comes unpredictability. And those things are only ironed out if the players on the training ground have the time to understand each other and figure each other out and get on the same wavelength. And it doesn't look like, as I said before, I'm just going on what I hear and what I see from Thomas Frank. And the reason why I don't rate him, I don't think he's the guy for me, is because we've gone from Bonnie Blue FC with Ange to Mother Teresa FC settings, right? That's what we've done. He cares. His first thought is, what are they going to do to us, rather than what can we do to them? And that looks so. It looks so clear when you see what we do with the ball, and the fact that we only turn up when we only start playing football when we're 1-0 down is outrageous. What's Sheg saying? I think our squad is good enough to compete for top 5, probably land around top 8. Yeah. Our fully fit squad is very, I think, is very good. I think our fully fit squad still needs a proper left winger. I think it needs depth in certain positions, and I think it needs a better goalkeeper and a better striker. And a passing midfielder. But our fully fit squad does have options in Maddison, in Decky, Kudus. But I think our goalkeeper's a bigger priority than I previously thought. I always thought he's a bit of a kind of liability, but I find his, like, we're never going to be able to be a convincing possession based team at all with him at the back, ever. Which means that you're just going to lump the ball forward inevitably, and then you're inevitably going to give the ball back, or even if you win the ball in the second phase, you're going to struggle with the structure, because it's easier for teams to get reorganized if you're just kicking the ball on from goal kicks. If you're playing it out from the back, obviously you face the press, but if you have the players to work around the press, then you can break and you can go. And that's where the motivation to play from the back is. But in order to do that, you need to have a goalkeeper that can play the ball with confidence and get it right at a very high proportion of his frequency, and he doesn't. He's fucking useless at all of that stuff. Absolutely useless. Big up to you all. Are we really not sacking Frank? How is this possible? As I say, I think it's because Vinay right now is contemplating: do I connect with the fans? Right. Part 5 of his little thing there is reconnect with the fans. Well, as I said before, if 150 people turn up to protest against you, Vinay, and the ownership, but 17,000 people boo and sing you're getting sacked in the morning, there's an opportunity there for you to connect with the fans. But it also means that you inherently have to tear up the plan in which you think that you have built and that Thomas Frank was a part of 6 months in. So what's more important? Tearing up the plan to have a win with the fans, or sticking to the plan and in so doing having the inquisition of the fans as to what it is that you're doing at the top and why it is that you can't see the bloody obvious. Either way, he's in a sticky situation. He's in a kind of lose-lose, because if he does sack Thomas Frank, I will be saying, not that I disagree with the decision, but in the interest of balance, I'll be saying you didn't have much faith or patience in your plan then. So you're just going to give in to what the fans want every time. That doesn't look like leadership to me. But if he sticks with the manager, and we don't see any improvement, and God forbid we get sucked into a relegation battle, then the plan looks horrendous, and the fact that you stood with it anyway means that you're stubborn and inept. So he's in a difficult situation. It'll be interesting to see which way he goes. Big up to you, Sonny. And Eamon says, when we sack Frank, who do we bring in? An interim op or a permanent manager? Who are they? Yeah, as I said, I don't think you bring in anyone permanent until the summer. I think the options in the summer will be plenty. but not right now. But as far as right now, what you would do is you bring in a temporary, an interim. Not Harry Redknapp, by the way. He's 80 years old, guys. 79 years old. The game has moved on. You know, we're technical, data-driven, all that shit, supposedly. And he's just a bit of an old school guy, isn't he? It's like it would be like it wouldn't work. It would hit the feels nicely, but it's not going to work. You know, maybe bring in an Edin Terzic for 6 months and say, come in, just, you know, here's your audition. See how he gets on. And then ideally in the summer, whoever it was that built the fucking plan, Johan Lang, out. Frank, out. Bring me Paul Mitchell and Poch. Bring me Nagelsmann and Rangnick. Bring me... I don't know. There's loads. We'll talk about that another day. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone for chilling out with me for the last hour and a half. Massive thank you to all of the super chats and the support you guys have shown. Back tomorrow with Drewski. Oh, actually, I'll be back this evening with if there's anything breaks, by the way, of course, I'll be back straight away. But I'll be back later on tonight, hopefully with an update or whatever else. But there he is. Big up. Oh, no, I didn't show the video. Sorry. Don't go. Let's have a look. So this is friend of the show. Oh, is it on the screen? Of course it isn't. Okay, how do I get this up? So that's Trevor. He's seen Vivian obviously in the premium in the. I think he's a premium. I think he spends a lot of money, right? I think there you go. I spend 24 grand a year, and told her what I thought. She just walked away and did not have the guts to face up to me. So there's a lot of ways you can take this, right? There's a lot of ways you can take this. So I like Trevor. He's a really nice guy. I know him. He's passionate, very, very respectful generally. Obviously, some people are saying you shouldn't be going up and just, having a crack at a woman. It's disrespectful. Maybe if from what I heard him say there was, you're not investing in the squad. The squad is crap. The manager's crap. Sell up and go. Right? He's frustrated. He spends a lot of money. Everyone's angry. Everybody's angry. Everyone's fed up. Everyone's furious. He didn't swear at her from what I could see. He didn't point fingers in her face. He just he tried to have a conversation with her and she walked off, and he tried to raise his, he took his opportunity. I think there's other ways you can go about it. I think in the cold light of day, I think that if he approached her, first of all, if he reached out to her and said, can I have a meeting with you? I spend 24 grand a year or whatever else. I don't think that she would have responded. So he's taken his opportunity to let her know his thoughts. I don't think it's that different, to be entirely honest, to booing or berating, Daniel Levy. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean that I personally don't subscribe to this notion of like, you can't say to a woman what you would say to a man, as long as you're saying it in a non-aggressive way. And I didn't see that being too aggressive. He just wanted to say what he said. He didn't swear at her. He just said the team was crap. You're not invested, sell up, or go for it. But I do think that maybe, if he had the opportunity again, would he possibly have said it in an ideal situation where it was a little bit less confrontational? Maybe he would have been able to get something out, something more of a dialogue going, rather than she might have felt intimidated. Who knows? He did. I think he had the glass in his hand and stuff. So I'm not saying that there was a threat there, but like just the fact that he's got a glass of, beer or whatever it was. I don't know. But look, he got it off his chest. I'd like to know what your thoughts. Do drop a comment. Maybe I'm partial on this one, biased, because I know Trevor. I've met him. He's a really nice guy. And I know he watches the show and that. But look, I'll be real. Like, I think a lot of people in that situation would have said a lot worse or a lot more aggressive or sworn or any of those things. He didn't shout. He just took his opportunity, and she wasn't very, she wasn't interested in having having a dialogue. I wouldn't have even recognised her, to be honest. If she walked past me, I wouldn't have even noticed. On Twitter, a lot of people are saying he's a disgrace. I don't think he is. I think he's entitled to say what he wants, and just because she's a female, if the argument is you can't speak to a woman like that, I'm sorry, bollocks to that. That's not how I feel. If you're you're a human being, right? As long as you don't use your size in an intimidating way. It's not like anything was going to happen to her inside the club, right? It was inside the West Stand. So I think he's done a good job. I think he's right to say what he wants to say. But obviously, I think if he was looking for a dialogue, if he was looking for something from her other than her to walk away, maybe if he had his time again, maybe he could have started the conversation slightly differently. But ultimately, I don't subscribe to this notion that he's outrageous or is a disgrace or anything like that. Certainly not if it's just because she's a lady. If it was Daniel Levy that was in that situation, if Trevor said those same thing to Daniel Levy, everybody that's saying he's a disgrace would have said good for you. So double standards, right? I thought we lived in a world of where everyone's equal. Chivalry until. Or equality until chivalry is required or whatever, just to get people out of a sticky situation. Not for me. Big up to you, Trev. Do what you got to do, mate. You're spending a lot of money at that football club every year, and you are entitled to have your say, just like the 17,000 people did against Thomas Frank, and the 200 people did at the protest. Barely talked about that protest thing. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to make of that. Like I thought I didn't think it would be anything like the 2,000 people one. 100 people though. Yeah. Didn't look good. I'm obviously not married. Yeah, that's for. Yeah, fuck it. Dude, I'm 41, nearly 42 years old, bro, and I've never had a seriously long-term relationship. The longest relationship I ever had was 6 months with an absolute sweetheart in Australia. And 3 months of that, she went traveling. So it's 6 months. 6 months from when she was my girlfriend to when we broke up. But 3 months, she was in Borneo. Yeah, I'm not someone. I'm set in my ways, mate. Here's what it is. Yeah. Anyone saying equal rights is not married yet, just put the toilet seat down and move on. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It wasn't a lot. It's irrelevant, just some show. It's irrelevant, right? It wasn't a lot of people. I'd say it's probably 100 people, if I'm honest. But whatever. Pretty poor. Again, no, for me, it just comes to show that it just goes to show that the match-going fans don't feel the same way as the online fans do. Big up to you all. Big up to you all. There's people saying big up Trev. Is Trev in the house then? Is he? Is Trev here? If you are here, Trev, big up to you, my man. Big up to you, buddy. Like I say, I like you a lot, mate. You're a really nice guy. He's generous. He's always offered me seats to go and sit with him. I haven't taken up on it, but yeah, look, sometimes in life you've got to take your opportunity, and I think if you spent that much money, God knows how long he's been a season ticket holder as well. I'd imagine he's been spending a lot of money for a long time. I think you've got a right to be able to say what you want to say. If he was hoping for a dialogue, though, maybe it was never going to happen either way, right? Maybe she was never going to dialogue either way. So, have at it. Make yourself feel better. Big up to you, man. Eamon says, why are our medical team not getting sacked? I think we're bringing in a new medical officer, aren't we? A new director for that department. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. There must be something that's going wrong with our medical team. It's either like, is the training ground built like, do they do more stuff on like artificial grass indoors, or I don't? It must be there must be something that is the root cause of how many injuries we get. It can't just be purely bad luck every single time. And Sean Hurl says, "Big up to you, Shawnee. KPIs not including winning trophies or experience of UEFA competitions." Well, they did said in the front here. The Lewis family, the board and the Lewis family is clear to see our men's team competing regularly in the Champions League and for major trophies, while significantly raising the competitive level of our women's team. Thing is, though, like, I don't think you need to say being in the Champions League regularly, because if your ambition is to win major trophies, then like the natural fall off from being in the title runs will be Champions League. It still rings back to revenue, doesn't it? It still does ring back to revenue a little bit. That's the big Champions League and trophies. Anyway, big up to you, Shawnee. Big up to you, my man. Big up to all of you guys. Awesome to see you all today. And appreciate everyone for hanging around. I will love you and leave you. I'll see you later on. I think Football Link might be on at some point this afternoon as well. I've got to take the dog out for a walk now, though. And I will see you guys later on. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,